take back their land with no compensation. How, if Donald Trump did that in this country, if this president or any president of the first world regimes would do something like that, do you think that they will be a president by the next day? Nine years is a very long time, guys. I don't know if you believe me or if you feel the same, but let me tell you, it's been a long journey. Today is another milestone in my journey to becoming a United States citizen. And if you stay tuned and watch this video all the way through, you'll see some of the best memories that I've made since I've lived in the USA. I landed in the States for the first time ever. So I landed in the States for the first time ever on April 18th, 2011. And since then, I've never looked back. I've been back and forth to South Africa a lot of times. When I say a lot of times, more than once per year average, I would say. But on top of that, I got to choose this country. And I think as Americans, we tend to forget what that means to be an American. We have patriots and non-patriots alike in this country. We have guys that'll lay down, and women that'll lay down their lives for this country in a heartbeat, in a flash. And then we have the opposite of that, people who don't give two craps about what this country was built on and what this country means for the average individual. It takes someone like me, a legalized alien resident of this country, and listen to what I'm saying, legal, guys, legal resident alien of this country, to sometimes make Americans understand what they have and what they'll lose should they ever choose to elect a dictator or a socialist or a communist leader. Guys, I never like to make everything political, but as it sits right now in the US of A, there's no more recourse but to make it political, because you look left and all you see is hate towards our sitting president. And you see people with all these protests and marches and opinions, and they spread so much hate, and it is just ridiculous. I couldn't believe that people who claim, and this is the left wing, the Democrats, the liberals, that everybody has equal rights and everybody has freedom of speech, or should have, and everybody should have liberties, and then they come out and they attack a Republican or a conservative or a right-wing person for having exactly those opinions. But they seem to forget that yesterday, last week, last month, or last year, maybe 5 years ago, they had that exact same opinion and that outlook, and that's what they were trying to sell to the American public. Our current sitting president has spoken the exact same words and terminology, and has been the exact same guy since before he was that famous on the political circuit. Since the 90s, there's video evidence of him saying exactly what he's saying today, to make America energy independent, to make America the greatest country in the world, to keep it the greatest country in the world, and make it the best economy that the world's ever seen, while protecting the American troop, while protecting the American public, and also creating jobs and opportunities. Capitalist, yes, but that is what America has been built on, always. And if you don't understand the meaning of capitalism, socialism, or communism, this would be a great time for you to go and research these definitions. Because by definition, the reason why America is a capitalist country, and people listen to capitalism and go, oh, it must be bad because it's selfish nature, blah, blah, blah. Capitalism has created the world's most millionaires in the shortest amount of time. That means that average Joe Blow that comes from a job where he started out in college or before as a Walmart employee or as a McDonald's drive-through employee, and he can become a millionaire. Not by stealing, thieving, or whatever, or selling his soul, which a lot of times being a company owner can feel like selling your soul. Believe me, it is tough, because you're the first one out, the last one in, and the last one to get paid. And on top of all that, you carry the burden and responsibility of the world's weight on your shoulders, because not only are you looking after just your survival and your food on the table, but now you have to worry about 10 or 20 or 50 or 1,000 or 10,000 employees, ways to pay their bills, to feed their families, to take care of the people that matters the most to them. However, I look at this situation that we're currently facing in this country, and I cannot help but wonder what we have done to stray so far from the path. Yes, this is still the country that I want to live and prosper in, and that's what I was getting at. Is the American person, the average American individual, seems to have forgotten that they too came from somewhere else, that their heritage lies somewhere else, unless they are Native American. And that, to me, again, a redundant term, because I believe that us as a Western world civilization came and conquered places, renamed it, called it by names that who knows if the local people wanted that name, understood that name and the meaning of it, and the oppressions that came with it. So to me, the Western world civilization, as broken as it was and has been and still is in a lot of ways, it has proven to be the only civilization that has moved forward with what they have been given, with what they received as a natural ability, a gift, if you will. They have built nations, they have built economies, they have built people standing up from nothing. And now they get slapped in the face because there's a socialist government or socialist regime, I should say, that is so convoluted by what the meaning of true Americanism is, that they can't even see past their hatred for a president who is merely there to make this country better. Do I always agree with everything he says? No. I believe there's certain things that he can dress up a little bit and make it look better, but that would take away from the fact that this guy speaks 100% truth 100% of the time. There's no such thing as 110% effort or 120% truth. There's only 100% truth and 100% of the time. In my mind, that's how the world runs. Yes, the world is a broken and a bad place. Is Trump to blame for it? No. Is every single individual to blame for it? 100% yes. He's not the sole mandate on what you do when you breathe or do not breathe, when you move or do not move. That choice, my friend, is up to you and myself solely, no one else. The choices we make dictate the person that we become. Every single time you make a decision, another choice is brought on your path. Guaranteed, no jokes. Guys, I'm not trying to tell you all this to try and talk down to people, because that's not my aim. My aim is to show you, every single one of you out there, that this country is the best country because it made the best decisions for the people of this country. And if you do not believe that this is the best country in the world, go see some other ones. Go live in some other ones. Let's see how you do then. This country is not only the economic powerhouse of the world, it is the safest country in the world. It has the strongest military and the most loyal people serving in that military. Our first responders, police, firefighters, medical personnel, paramedics, nurses, doctors, aides, everybody that works in the medical system and the first responder community are some of the most loyal people you'll ever meet, and they will lay down their lives for you, whether you are Democrat or Republican, whether you are right, whether you are wrong, whether you believe in this nation like I do, or like Trump does, or like some of his followers do, or not, whether you believe some racist democratic regime done anything for this country but made it more socialistic, more communistic, more of a money pit. I do not believe you believe what I believe necessarily. I do not think you believe as me. I hope that you can see the logic in why I'm talking to you like this. I'm not even allowed to vote yet because I'm not a citizen. When I am a citizen, believe me, I will exercise the right to vote. I exercise the right to vote in my home country every single time there's an election. Because I believe that if you do not vote, but you criticize, you are a hypocrite. Guys, I was raised by a mother and a father that loved me dearly, and I believe that because the actions showed me what it was. I was adopted when I was 16 months old, not because my mother and father didn't want me. My mother and father at the time didn't have the ability to raise a child. So was my sister and my brother that lived with me. My sister was 3 years old, my brother was merely 6 or 7 months old. Because of that love that I experienced through people who would give their life for their children, whether they had them from birth or whether they adopted them, they didn't discriminate. But they believed in a set of rules and principles that made me the man I am. My father was one of the wisest people in the world. He passed away sadly in 2004 after 11-year struggle with cancer. Mom passed away in 2018 at the age of 84. Dad was 70, almost 84 mom was. And she had a battle with cancer at the end as well. But what those two people meant to me and taught me was you don't have to be a high level of intellect to understand logic. You don't have to be one party or the other to understand politics and what is good for the economy. All you have to do is listen more than you speak and act on what you learn. And if you don't want to learn anything new today, tomorrow, or the next day, believe me, I have faith that at some point you'll make the right decision and come around on your thoughts and actions. Until then, all I can do is pray for you. And yes, I am Christian. Yes, I am conservative. In the same sense, I have to tell you that I also believe that the world has to go forward, that we have to progress. Would I call myself a liberal? By no means, no stretch of the meaning. But what I am is someone that believes that only by building other people up and allow them to elevate their situation and their stance and their income and their way of living can we build communities. It was Abraham Lincoln, a Republican president, that freed the slaves, not the Democrats. The Democrats claim all these abolishments of slavery and. Did you know that they were the first and the foremost offensive on the Ku Klux Klan? I bet you didn't know that. I bet that you didn't know that South Africa has been under a democratic rule since 1994, with Nelson Mandela as its first black president or first democratically elected president, which I believe to this day, even though it was a tough time in our country's turnover period, was a good decision because it opened us back up to the world. And I know a lot of people are going to criticize me from back home and maybe from over here. But the fact of the matter remains that that guy was sent to jail, or prison we should say, as we say in America, because jail and prison is a little bit different over here. But he was sent to prison for 27 years for a crime that would have made him a terrorist by definition against this country if it happened in the United States. People like that get the death penalty out here. In South Africa, we sent him to prison. He got an education in prison, and a high-level education at that, where he studied law and philosophy, I believe. Don't crucify me if I'm wrong. But he got a better understanding for what he was doing when he came out of prison. When I say that, he went to war. He went to war on the country and on the laws that was written. He was classified and deemed a terrorist because he bombed school buses, trains, and public transport that was mostly utilized by mothers and children commuting to and from work and school. And then he went to prison for 27 years, got a Western world education, came back out of there, not hating a single soul, and unified a country through not only his good nature, that actually showed in his pride and commitment in what he believed and did, but he also understood how to deal with the Western world culture and combine his tribal culture with that culture. Now, post that, Mbeki tried to do a good job. That was our second president after Nelson Mandela. He got voted out by his own party because his party turned out and said, no, we need to get away from the Western world. We need to go back to tribal nature. But they wanted to keep the money. They wanted to keep the buildings, the structure, the infrastructure, the education, the healthcare, all of those systems. What they didn't understand is that they had no background in these things. They had no economists. They had no lawyers. They had no bookkeepers and accountants. And people understood these very delicate intricacies that Trump is so good at understanding because he came from a business background. And then comes Jacob Zuma, who didn't have the 5th grade and zero logic, who would openly protest and dance and sing songs of kill the farmer, kill the boer, take back their land with no compensation. How, if Donald Trump did that in this country, if this president or any president of the first world regimes would do something like that, do you think that they will be a president by the next day? Yeah, that's what I said. They would not make it another day. However, this guy was in power for almost 9 years before they elected somebody else. So now I ask you, if you are a student of the human condition, if you can read people or read into people or just read history, go back and read. This COVID-19 thing isn't the first time that such a flu or certain flus similar to this has happened. The swine flu, Ebola, back in the 1918 or 17, there was a Spanish flu, they called it. It killed so many more people. However, the media now is making such a ruckus on this conversation that you cannot get a word in sideways. People are filled with so much hatred. However, this is by far the best country in the world. In 9 years, I've built myself a life out here. And I believe the American dream is more than alive, guys. If you don't believe that, then you're not working hard enough, you're not searching hard enough. But I believe the American dream is 100% alive and well. And my American dream and your American dream should be different. And when I say different, mine might be to make $100,000 a year. Yours might be to make 10 million. Another person's might just be to pay off their house or their student loans. But if you cannot even believe in God, country, and duty, I don't see how there's a home for you in this country. Maybe you should move to Mexico. Maybe you should move to Patagonia or China or somewhere where there are communist and socialist leaders. And maybe just don't clutter up and block up the system over here. Because I can tell you now, the love I have for this country well supersedes that of what a lot of Americans have lucked into and is unhappy with. And if you're unhappy about something, you can change it with logic, good measure, hard work, and just a little dab of faith. Might go a long way. Guys, I don't want to rant on. Today was mainly for me to speak to you and to thank not only the American public that's taken me into their arms, people that know me, people that don't know me, that have said thank you for what I've done. And this is my way of saying thank you back to them. Thank you all for giving me a home in the USA. It's been 9 blissful years. It's been plentiful. I could have never imagined a life like this anywhere else in the world. When I say that it comes down, it's from the bottom of my heart that I thank you all. I want to thank our president. I want to thank my friends. I want to thank my family for supporting me in everything I do. Every single day of my life. And I hope every single one of you out there can go out and do the same for yourself. Every single day. Make your life the best experience of your life. Because you only get one shot, guys. It doesn't matter if you believe what I believe. It doesn't matter if you believe that when we die we go nowhere or we go somewhere, whether that's heaven or hell. I know what I believe, and I'm not shy to admit that I'm a Christian. I believe that there is an afterlife. But for this shape, for this form that I have now, this body is my is my tool. This is the tool I use to bring you the message of faith, hope, and love. That Jesus Christ died on this day where he had to be crucified for the human eye to believe what they saw. Our president in this country believes that, along with me. He believes that a country isn't built out of just brick and mortar, out of just a whole bunch of millions of people running around with their heads cut off. There has to be an end goal. There has to be a greater good at play. And if you can't agree with that logic, I can't hate you for it. I can only pray for you and feel sorry for you. But again, guys, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for following me on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok, and here on YouTube, and on my Instagram. You guys are a hell of a support. And by no means do I mean that as, you know, it doesn't just roll off me. Like, I notice every single like, I notice every single comment. On TikTok, I follow you if you follow me. On Instagram, I follow you and subscribe to you if you subscribe to me. The same on Facebook. I use my platforms to reach more people. And I hope this message, this good hope message, reaches you. And it means something to you, because if I could do what I have done in 9 short years in America, imagine what you can do. As an American, as a born citizen, you have all the rights and all the privilege. It doesn't even matter your skin color. It doesn't matter what race or religion you are, what your sexual identification is. Be who you want to be, but be the best you can be. And be a productive member of society. Because therein lies the reward. I tell you this now, therein lies the ultimate reward. Make our country great. Keep our country great. And in essence, it will become even greater for every single person living here. There's lots of people out in the world that would love and die to have the privilege that we have to live in this country, with all its problems. Because no country is without fault. No country is without leadership issues at times, or any other issues, economic or medical or educational. There's so many infrastructure issues in the world, and we could fix so many by just focusing on home, focusing on the USA, bringing our troops to come and help us work on things. Right now, crisis time, our troops will come back gladly and take care of their family and friends first. That's the resolve these folks have. And to that, I say thank you. Thank you to each and all of you guys for supporting me and helping me grow this channel. And we will talk soon, very soon. Stay tuned for more information on the developments of what's going on out there. Follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram, subscribe to my channel, hit the like button. It helps out the algorithms. Guys, come along and help me show you what is possible with a little bit of hard work and a little bit of faith. Take care now. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.